Hey, it's Norm from Tested.
And Adam from Tested.
No, we're going to do something a little different today.
Yeah.
Not just showing off stuff you've built. We're going to talk about technology, because some people might not know you're a bit of a gearhead.
I am an extreme gearhead.
And yeah, and not just phones and laptop stuff, but photography.
I'm an avid, amateur, mediocre photographer.
You're in good company.
Yeah, and I make a pretty good living at this point, so I've invested in some good equipment. And my primary camera is this, the 5D Mark III.
Yeah.
Oh, it's all covered over because when I use it on the set of Mythbusters,
you can't show any of the
can't show what
logos.
it is. But I had the 5D Mark I. I have had the 5D Mark II,
which was a big game changer.
A huge game changer.
Last year this came out, and I remember you said you bought it day one, you pre-ordered it.
Yeah.
And you had it. And it's great because you're invested in that lens ecosystem. You have all those EF lenses.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I have invested in a full set of nice, fast lenses over the years. And they're not cheap, but they're beautiful, beautiful. They're rigorous and difficult lenses to use. The faster the glass, the harder it is to keep things in focus and to frame it right. Yep. And, I feel like giving myself that challenge is improving my photography. So it's all a long program of trying to do that.
And this is obviously your top of the line, full DSLR. Not everyone needs that.
No, not at all.
And we've talked about these mid-range cameras, the mirrorless cameras. And you love those too.
I do.
You have a bunch of these NEX cameras. You just got the NEX 7.
I just got the NEX 7. I bought this used, and the prices are going down now because of the NEX 6 and the 5R. Yes. So there's a lot of new models coming out. So the first Model 7, which was impossible to find and ridiculously expensive. Yep. I got this on eBay for a pretty good deal, about 2/3 of retail.
And an amazing case you have for it.
Yeah, you should take some pictures of this. We should show. I bought this from these Japanese leather guys on Etsy. I'm a gearhead and I love everything to look nice and old. I don't necessarily want lots of modern stuff. Like, there's no visible computers in my house.
No, and it's functional. It's comfortable and easy to hold. So I have the 5R here, which is also new, and we like these cameras because they're they're baggable, not pocketable.
Yeah.
But they're good. They have good sensors. Like, if you pop it open, you have an APS-C size sensor, which is a little smaller than your full frame, but they're going to take much better photos than your iPhone or your point and shoot.
Absolutely. And for me, I keep one. I had the NEX 5 and now I've got the 7. I keep it in the shop as I take interim pictures of stuff I'm working on while I'm working on it, and I just know I'm taking really, really good archival photos.
Yes, and it's good to hand it off to someone too. Take pictures of you, because they don't need to fiddle with 1,000 different dials.
And it's one thing I'll give Sony, not one thing, but one of the things I really like about these cameras is you put them on idiot mode and they take fantastic pictures. Just push the button, and it's just great.
But you invested in your EF lenses for your Canon ecosystem.
Yes.
Buying in this, now Sony makes, of course, their own lenses, their E-mount lenses. I don't want to buy a whole new set of lenses. And you can buy adapters then.
You can buy adapters, so you can easily, so the distance from the back element to the focal plane on the E-mount is, I think, 18 millimeters, if memory serves.
Yes, the kit lens is 18 to 55. But what you're effectively getting...
I'm sorry, I was actually just meaning the actual distance of
right there, 18 millimeters.
1.8 centimeters. And then on the Canon, it's something like 45 millimeters. It's a significant greater distance, which means while you can buy an adapter for an E-mount to an EOS mount, your 50 millimeter becomes like an 88 millimeter.
Right, there's a sensor crop. You're using a smaller sensor, it's a bigger distance, and so it's cropped in like 1.5 times.
1.7, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're zooming in, unfortunately. So all of a sudden, you've invested in a nice wide 24, and it's effectively like almost a 50.
It's almost 50, and you don't get the full range.
You don't get the full range. You don't get the same performance.
Well, this is something you just got in.
That's
so cool.
I ordered. So I'll tell you the story of this. Is that my cameraman and one of my associate producers live together. So my associate producer comes in and she goes, "Scott has something to tell you about." And I'm like, what? And Scott comes up and he tells me that there's this new adapter. It's made by Metabones, and it will adapt. They make several different ones, but the one that concerns me is it will take an EOS lens and adapt it to an E-mount. But it does it with lensing.
So it's not just the hardware around the lens.
Right.
There's actual
There's a lens in there, and the lensing allows the EOS lens to be full frame on the E-mount.
So they call this a speed booster, and what that means is, as opposed to, well, speed means you have to use a full aperture. It's as wide as the original lens will go.
Right.
It will only work with full frame Canon lenses, so which you have.
Right.
And what that means is, as opposed to cropping in, you're getting the full image. It's reverse zooming in.
It's reverse zooming out. But then here's the part that really blew my mind, and I'm still wrapping my head around it, is not only does it make an EOS lens full frame on the E-mount, you get a full extra stop out of it.
You're improving the quality of the original lens.
So if you have a 2.4, you're getting like a 1.8. Right? I can't
so right
do
now,
all the math in my head.
You have
right
a 24 millimeter. It's a 1.4, which is already extremely wide, extremely fast. Putting the adapter on, it goes to an f1.
Yeah.
Which is mind blowing.
I'm a little mad that no one's ever done this before. I'm like, how is this possible? And I've never known about this.
Because you're actually getting all the light that would otherwise be wasted at the edges of the sensors, you're cramming into the sensor through that curved lens.
Well, so now here's the place where it really intersects. Now, honestly, for my EOS lenses and the NEX, I'm not going to travel around with those all day long because it's a little silly. I'll go out with this one. But where the rubber meets the road for me is in this, which is a recent acquisition. This is the Sony FS700. You guys...
Oh yes, the high-speed camera.
The high-speed camera.
But it's a great regular day-to-day camera.
It's a beautiful camera. It's got a Super 35 sensor. What this Metabones adapter does is turns this into a beautiful cinema camera for me, because now all of a sudden I don't have a zoom on my EOS lenses. They're all full frame. And then there's one extra wrinkle to this, which is the Korean company, sometimes Samyang, sometimes Rokinon, sometimes Bauer.
Is that, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that has been releasing these geared cine lenses.
Yeah, you got the Canon set.
I got the Canon set. I bought the whole set. There's an 8, a 14, 24, 35, and an 85.
And geared meaning you can attach to a rig, and then you can zoom.
And you can do follow focus, just like you don't have to add on a geared tooth ring. But that whole kit of all 5 of those lenses cost me about half of what one Canon Cine lens costs. Don't get me wrong, the Canon Cine lens is a magnificent piece of engineering, and it is far higher quality. But as an entry-level group of cinema lenses, these lenses are all about $300 or $400 a piece, which is pennies on the dollar compared to what real cinema lenses cost you. So I take these, I put them on a rig with my FS700,
speed boosted,
and all of a sudden I'm shooting movies.
Real movies.
It's really exciting.
Now, even though you get the full frame, it's really like maybe 0.9 of the full frame, and there is a little bit of the chromatic aberration on the edges, and a little bit of vignetting. Totally. But if you compare picture to picture and day-to-day stuff for what's usable,
it's darn respectable and darn close. And again, as an entry level, you know, the FS700 has going for it. It's less expensive than several of its peers.
Right. So Canon makes one, the C300, and it's in the $15,000 range. This is about half of that, $8,000.
Exactly, exactly. So when you've purchased this, clearly you're on a budget, so you don't want to have to go then spend $40,000 on a set of cinema lenses. This is a way you can spend $4,000 on a set of, actually, I think $3,800 is what I ended up spending for the full set. It's a great deal, and it's kind of like, it's a really exciting time to be interested in camera equipment. It's a whole new world.
You're shooting real movies and real photos with basically the same lenses on many different classes of equipment.
Yeah, and stuff like this Metabones adapter, which is not licensed by Canon or Sony.
They just engineered it themselves.
And although it allows pin through to be able to use autofocus, they're very, when you go to their site, they're very, very
explicit,
forthcoming about the fact that it's very slow. It doesn't work really, it doesn't play incredibly well with these lenses. It doesn't track stuff as fast.
And that's because these cameras are made for contrast-based auto detect, and these lenses are the phase detect auto.
Absolutely, and I will say that the kit lens that comes with the FS700 is a terrific lens. It's a I can't remember what the millimeter is, but it's very fast. It tracks. It'll track in real time on a high-speed shot, which has been great. We've actually added 2 of these cameras to the MythBusters roster. We're using them constantly because it's a beautiful addition to the Phantom. 250 frames per second is kind of a butter zone for us because a lot of human body stuff looks great. That's about where you shoot it anyway.
Sneeze.
Precisely, precisely.
All right, awesome. Well, this one, it's a little pricey, but totally worth it. So you're using your existing kit. I want to play with some of these later. We'll show some sample photos.
We're going to do some side-by-sides so that you guys can put them up on the site, and we'll take a look at how well they compare.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam, for geeking out over gear. We've got to do this more often.
There's plenty of time. There's plenty of room, too. There's plenty of gear to geek out over.
And you'll find more of that on Tesla.com. See you guys.
Bye.